Do you ever wish someone would draw you a map and give you the directions to the career of your dreams? If so, consider this podcast your GPS to a career where you feel strong, fulfilled, and passionate about your work, day in and day out. On this show, I am sharing the tools to help you advocate for your strengths, discover your passions, and learn from folks who transformed their careers for the better. My name is Joyel Crawford, your fairy god mentor, and with my 18 years of experience in HR at a Fortune 50 company and 20 years of coaching and mentoring top leaders, I am thrilled to be your guide on this career journey. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of Career View Mirror. Today, we are going to tackle a topic that is affecting so many of us, burnout. So if you're feeling exhausted, unmotivated, or you're like running on empty, this episode is for you. I think I could probably make a t-shirt, put a wrap around my car, more than anything. Like I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, wrote the book, wrote the chapter. Burnout is something that I have experienced. I even wrote a song about burnout. That's how real burnout is for me. I mean, and here's the thing with burnout, it's not always when you're doing work that you don't like, or that you're overworked with that kind of thing. It could be when you're living your best life and doing work that you love. Just like Bethany Frankel used to say, you could have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time, right? So burnout isn't just about being tired. It's emotional, it's mental, it's physical exhaustion from prolonged stress. But the good news is that we can prevent it. And today I'm going to walk you through how we can do some of those things. Now, first, what is burnout? And that is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. Some of the signs and symptoms, and the reason why I'm wearing glasses, if you are watching this right now, is I'm trying to hide one of my signs and symptoms right now. My eye is twitching. The eye muscle is twitching. And I don't want you to notice it. Now everyone's watching and they're going to start looking for my eye twitching. But there's signs and symptoms like your muscles start to twitch. You're constantly tired. You're feeling detached from work or from life in general. Your productivity is slipping and decreasing. You're irritable. Everything starts to get on your dang nerves. Everything. I mean, just the sound of a faucet dripping, or just your spouse or your partner eating something crunchy, just chewing, that really gets on your nerves. So that irritability or lack of motivation kicks in. It could be physical symptoms like headaches or an insomnia. Maybe you're not eating as much, or maybe you're eating a little too much. Some of these things are various symptoms and signs. It can sneak up on anybody, especially high achievers or people who are passionate professionals. Again, like I said, burnout is something that happens not only if you're like, man, I can't deal with this job anymore, or man, I'm trying to find a job right now in these days, or I love what I'm doing, I can't stop doing it, but you're running yourself into the ground in the long run. So what causes burnout? One of the biggest things that causes burnout is lack of boundaries. Woo! Boundaries. These are the things that make life a lot easier. But when you don't have the boundaries, that's when stuff goes sideways. This looks like overworking. It looks like checking your emails 24/7, which I have a problem doing. Always saying yes. This year, I created a intention to have, and two intentions, to prioritize myself and to honor my worth. And if things are not a hell yes, they are a hell no. And that is because boundaries are a challenge for me. I am a I'm a card carrying people pleaser. And being a card carrying people pleaser means that I am always saying yes. But saying no to someone else is saying yes to yourself. So it's super, super important to have those boundaries. So that's one cause, lack of boundaries. Unreasonable workloads. Now, some of this can be in your control, and a lot of it's out of your control. A lot of us work for other people. So unrealistic workloads, it's going to happen. You're going to get, Jane or Jim was laid off. And so now you're picking up the slack. Unfortunately, there's a lot of projects and too few resources to do it. And sometimes it's falling on your shoulders. So that could be a cause of burnout. Another cause could be toxic work environments. And I'm hearing a lot of that from a lot of my clients. They're working in places where there's unsupportive leadership, unrealistic expectations, a real lack of psychological safety. And this is happening often. I'm telling you, it's like the top thing that I'm talking about with my clients right now is toxic work environments. Um, it's not good. It's not healthy. It's not sustainable. And unfortunately, some of us don't have the privilege of leaving. Like I was able to move from where I was in order to try my hand at entrepreneurship. And I've been blessed to be in business for myself for 11 years. But some don't have that, um, that they don't have that privilege. Some have to stay in these awful toxic work environments. Um, my note to you is that if your psychological safety or your physical safety or mental safety, if these things are causing harm, if you can do your best to get out of that situation. I know we don't have the privilege. A lot of people are getting laid off right now and losing their jobs. If you don't have that opportunity, um, try to use the resources that you have available to you, like your compliance guideline, like your human resources department. Sometimes people have to call the cops. I mean, so those are types of things that you can use. But if you are in a toxic work environment and have to stay because there's nothing else out there that you're not able to, which I highly doubt there is, but if you have to stay, try to utilize things that will help make it better. But just my 2 cents. If you can get out of it, get out of it, quick, fast, in a hurry, because your safety there's only one you out there, so your safety is important. Um, Lack of recognition. That's another cause of burnout. Feeling unappreciated, can lead to disengagement. And when you're disengaged, you don't want to work. Please, you're just checking in, cashing in the check and checking out. We used to call people who did this quitting and staying. So if you're disengaged, you're not getting recognized for the hard work that you're doing. That could definitely be a sign of burnout. And then not having any work-life flow. Always putting work first at the expense of your personal well-being. I have a story. It happened in the middle of the pandemic. Actually, not even the middle, the very beginning of the pandemic. I did not know it at the time, but I was struggling with long COVID symptoms that were plaguing my health. But I kept cranking out because I took on a contract out of desperation instead of inspiration. And I think a lot of us can respond to that back then and actually right now, taking on projects out of desperation instead of inspiration because we needed the money. And I remember that we had come up with some scheduling commitments so that we could kind of keep some normalcy. And 6 o'clock was the cutoff for work so that we could have dinner together, me and my husband. And I was talking to my client well after 6 o'clock. It was like, I think 6:30. And we were on a Zoom call, and all of a sudden the Zoom went out. Like the screen just went black. So I ran down and I was like, honey, I think there's something wrong with the internet. And if he could have been holding the cord to Wi-Fi, even though there's no cord to Wi-Fi, but if he could have been holding the cord to Wi-Fi, he would have been swinging around like a cat with its tail in its hand. Like, he cut off the Wi-Fi, everybody. He cut off the Wi-Fi in the middle of my meeting. And I was like, how could you do that? I said, my clients need me. And he was like, I need you. And I realized right then and there that my work-life flow was just not going at all. There wasn't a flow, there was no trickle. It was in a full-on drought. This is critical situation time here, guys. My values became misaligned. I was more focused on the dollar instead of making sense about the reality of my relationship. That was on the line. I was putting that ahead of the relationship. I had this wonderful man that loved me, and I was ignoring all of that quality time so that I could make money. And PS, I was working past the hours I had promised. So I was devaluing how much and how long I was working anyway. But I say all that to say is, when your values become misaligned and when you start putting things in the wrong priority box, that can definitely be causes for burnout. So how do you prevent this? How do you prevent it from happening? Well, the first thing is to set clear boundaries. Now, boundaries are the cure-all to burnout. I'm going to say that again. Boundaries are the cure-all to burnout. Ways that you can do this, ways that you can create boundaries. One is to block your time. Like, be like a superhero, like Wonder Woman, pew pew, with your magic bracelets, back blocking off all the work. If you can block off time, it could be a 10-minute block, it could be a 15-minute block off time to where you can take breaks. Some people take smoke breaks, which I don't promote, but some people take air breaks. If you're taking an air break, take that time off. If you used to have a commute, and now you're working from home more often, make your commute a walking commute. Walk around the neighborhood, get your walking in. So not only are you getting some exercise in, but you're also building in that break, that time that you need before you start jumping into work, or maybe breaking in between the day so you can get an air break in between the day. Play with your pets, water your plants, just define your work hours clearly and commit to it so that your spouse and partner is not cutting off the Wi-Fi, so that you're not truly cut off. So create and define what those work hours are and what those break hours are. Putting your do not disturb on. All these pieces of technology that we have, phones and laptops and everything else, there are do not disturb features that you can use. I actually use screen time blocking. So I have a certain amount of time that I will look at my social media, and then my timer goes off and it blocks it, like literally grays the app out so that I cannot get into it. And I am tempted. Sometimes I will break into it. For Lent right now, I am giving up social media. And let me tell you, it's tough. It is really hard, especially with what's going on around the world today. But I get my 15-minute fix, and then it shuts down. And then I commit to not going back in there until the next day. Then another way that you can create your boundaries is to communicate them clearly. Not dancing around it, but communicating clearly what you need. So, for example, I have a client who really makes it clear that her business day ends at 3:30. If you want to talk with her, you will know that you'll need to call her, or email and ask what's needed. And this created a sense of protection of her time because her values, her vision, her priorities were her family. And so I have a hard stop at 3 o'clock so that I can get in the car and make sure that I'm on my way to pick up my children. So they're not, I think I can't remember what they do, but I think they charge the parent with money for the amount of time that they have to wait after school for you to pick up the kid. So, there's a financial thing there. That's the school's boundary. But her boundary with her work people was this: at 3 o'clock, I'm out. And it took some getting used to for her, not only for her team, but for her as well, because she was always that type of person who would be like, oh, well, I'll just stay. No, she needed to do this. So it was a success to be clear and communicate. It's not that I'm not thinking you're not important, but I need to do this for me. This helps me be more productive. Another way is to learn to say no without feeling guilty. Woo! I'm going to say this, and I said it in my book, and I say it all the time. No is a complete sentence. No is a complete and whole sentence. All right. So here's a script. Here's a saying no script. I'd love to help, but I can't commit to that right now. I'd love to help, but I don't have the bandwidth at this point in time. I'd love to help. Is there someone else that you can reach out to right now that could assist? Jane, I noticed that Jane is really chomping at the bit to learn more about this arm of the business. Perhaps you could reach out to Jane. So not only saying no, but give them a solution to their ask, right? Also to remember that saying no to something or someone means saying yes to yourself. That is the key thing to remember. People may be disappointed, but can you imagine how more disappointed they would be if you actually said yes and then failed epically, costing maybe millions or hundreds of millions of dollars because you just burned yourself out and didn't have enough bandwidth to meet the deadline? It can happen. It's better to be proactive. Say no without being guilty. You are not superhuman. You may do superhuman things. You might be doing some superhuman things, but you are not a superhero. Prioritize your rest and recovery. Oh my goodness. Barbara Hersey wrote this book, Rest is Resistance. It's right next to my bed. It's like a Bible. Rest is resistance. Sleep, nutrition, movement, downtime are non-negotiables. Resting is your God-given right. It's not something you earn. It is not something that you need to collect. It is your right to rest. Once you rest and recharge, you're fresh and frosty for anything that the world has to offer or give. Lack of sleep affects how you make decisions. It lacks how creative you are. It lacks your it breaks down your emotional regulation. So you've got to get your rest. And I like to have napetizers. Napetizers are I have Joyelisms. I have my little Joyelisms that I use. Napetizers are my little mini breaks that I take out between the middle of the day. They're not long vacations once a year. They're just like little mini breaks. I'll make some tea, have some little cookies, maybe some popcorn, get under the covers and watch a movie and fall asleep. Yeah, my little napetizers. If you have the privilege of doing that, have a napetizer. Or maybe it's having a little appetizer in your car. Or going away and just walking around the block could be an active rest, situation. Rest doesn't have to be just taking naps. It doesn't have to be passive. It could be active. Rest could look like calling a friend or family member, just, hearing a friendly voice on the other line. So rest and recovery is key. managing your workload through delegation and automation. Ooh, let me tell you something. When you delegate, it is a life and game changer. If you're doing everything, you're doing too much. So you've got to delegate. And so there's this 4D method that I like to share with people: delete, delegate, defer, and do. Delete as much as you can to make space for things. Delegate to somebody who you know, A, wants to grow and develop. These are the best people to delegate to, because they're the ones that are like, I want to do your job. And you're like, really? Okay, well, here it is. Delegate, clearly delegate to them. Find out if they even want to do the task. That's another piece. When you're delegating, you want to make sure that you're picking the right person you're delegating to. But also defer. Sometimes, does it have to be answered right now? Can't this wait? Can this wait? Can I think about it? When does this have to be answered by? When does this due? And then you do. You do what you can. All right. So these things work. Automating tasks. There are so many tools out there that can automate things for you. I'm not talking about the little mouse shaking stuff, where it makes it look like you're doing work. I'm talking about automating tasks like auto pay for your bills. No one likes paying bills every month. If you've got the money in the bank account, just click on auto pay with some of these people that you're paying bills to, so you don't have to write out a check every month or have to worry or have that anxiety or have yet another thing to do. Do you know that certain washers and dryers have automation now? You can actually put in and program when you want your washer or your dishwasher to start, so you can time release it. So when you just set it and forget it. Your coffee machine can be automated. So you can wake up and have a nice cup of coffee waiting for you as soon as you get up. Automate as much as you possibly can. Don't stress yourself out. You want to make yourself fresh and frosty. Again, you need rest. Then here's my favorite is show your ask. Seek support and advocate for yourself. Your workload isn't just your responsibility. Your leadership team should be involved. That's why you got a team. Have your team work for you and with you. It's not just you. It's not the development you. It's the development team. It's not the accounting you. It's the accounting team. It's not the finance you. It's the finance team. If you have a team of people working with you and alongside you, use them. This isn't some kind of contest so that you could do it all by yourself. Use your team. Encourage seeking mentors and allies and HR support. There are people out there that want to help you. Some might not be willing, but you have to ask. If you don't ask, how are you going to know? You've got to ask for these types of things. Advocate for yourself for fair workloads. Advocate for the recognition that you need and you deserve and desire. I love having this I use this how I like to be coached form. And if you want it, email me, shoot me a DM, and I will be happy to share it with you. So how I like to be coached form. And it talks about how I like to communicate, how I like to be coached, how I like to be recognized, what are my goals. This is not only a great cheat sheet for you if you're a people leader, but it's also good for you to give to your direct supervisor or manager so that he or she or they know how to communicate with you and how to recognize you best and how to coach you. It is a fantastic tool, and it helps answer some of those questions that people don't even know to ask. But it helps you show your ask in a more proactive way. All right. So let's recap. Rest. You need your rest. Know the signs of what burnout is. And, here's another thing. Make things work for you, not against you. If you can, automate things as much as you can, delegate as much as you can, Rest and relax, move your body, do all the things that you can to make things work for you, because burnout will keep coming. I'm not going to say that doing these things is going to eliminate burnout forever, but it will minimize the chances of you crashing and burning, so that you don't need to wear the t-shirt, write the book, and have all of these different types of things to say. All right. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to do a burnout prevention challenge. One, I need you to identify your biggest burnout trigger. What is the biggest thing that's triggering your burnout? Yeah, could it be something personal? Could it be professional? What's your biggest burnout trigger? Mine is people asking me to do things because I am flattery operated, y'all. You ask me to come to an awards thing or speak for somebody or coach someone that needs help. That is, I'm a servant leader at heart. Biggest burnout trigger is to be asked to help somebody, right? So identify what your biggest burnout trigger is. Next, I want you to choose one boundary to implement this week. One boundary. Is it saying no? Is it delegating? Is it making sure that you're seeking support to advocate for yourself? What is it? What's one boundary that you want to implement this year? Is it blocking out your time? What is it? And then the third thing is to prioritize rest and recovery every day. Every day. Every day. It could be an appetizer. It could be an active rest thing. It could be walking meditation, whatever it is. That is the third step. So one, identify what your biggest burnout trigger is. Choose one boundary to implement this week, and then prioritize rest and recovery every day. DM me on Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube to let me know what boundary you're setting this week. That's the challenge. So I have a call to action for you. After listening to this, I want you to subscribe. I want you to share this with a friend, and I want you to leave a review. All right? Really, really, really would love that. Feel free to continue to follow me on all the social media channels. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube. I would love, my goal is to gain at least 1,000 subscribers to my YouTube channel this year. Can you help make that happen for me? I just celebrated my birthday over the weekend, and I would love that. That's my birthday wish. Well, it's one of my birthday wishes, is if I could have over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That would be fabulous. So share this, subscribe, like it with everybody, and don't forget to check in with me about this burnout prevention challenge. Biggest burnout trigger, one boundary that you're going to set this week, and prioritizing rest and recovery. I know you can do it. See you next time, and thanks for listening and watching Career View Mirror. Thank you so much for listening to Career View Mirror. If you got value from this episode, please consider leaving a rating and a review for the show on Apple Podcasts, or head on over to Spotify and click 5 stars for our show. We also have a YouTube channel with video versions of our episodes, so subscribe over there for more content. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.